I too am a disabled Marine Corps veteran who relies on the state for life-saving. Taught how to put our bodies in front of violence to protect your children with no regard for our safety. I work in a profession that is made up of 80% women, yet we do not get paid time to take care of our children or health care to cover our families. We are accused of indoctrinating children, even more so called educational terrorists by the far right. Things start small, but they get bigger. Every day, I get the opportunity to work with amazing educators, and y'all, they are exhausted, exploited, defeated, underpaid, and disrespected. But I know as an organizer that I can do nothing alone. It is not the me, it is the we. Community solidarity and labor unions are the antidote to the billionaires and the oligarchy. I know that every meeting and every conversation, every discussion we have is how we are going to win. 8 years ago, a few teachers showed up with red shirts on. A couple weeks later, hundreds of them did, and 6 weeks later, 70,000 people marched on Wall Street Capitol. Things start small, but they get big. And let me be clear, nobody is coming to save us. It is us. I'm calling on everyone in here to defend our public education system because our schools are not for sale, our kids are not for sale, and our communities are not for sale. It's time. All of us stand up and fight back. They're only have to sign for me to do something I didn't think I was going to do, but everybody, ladies and gentlemen, Representative AOC! Oh my goodness, it is so good to be with you all today. You all ready back? You all ready to take our country back? We're going to throw these bumps out for the nation we deserve. Thank you all so much. My name is Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. AOC, but I come to you as a friend. As a friend. My home in New York is a ways from here, but in truth, I love you too. The distance between us is a lot shorter than we think, or even that we're told. And I want to thank each and every one of you for making an effort to be here tonight. I really sincerely thank each and every one of you. The energy in here is so amazing, and I want you all to know there's another couple thousand people outside. And, we were bringing our rallying in Las Vegas not too long ago. And being here and being with each and every one of you, it just reminds me a lot. And it connects me a lot to my own story. And, I came from a working class family, just like most of you. My mom cleaned houses. My dad was working to start a small business. And sí se puede. My dad was working. Sí se puede. Because like many of you all, they did everything they could to struggle and scrap everything together so that I could have a chance. So my brother and I could have a shot. And we went to public school and we worked as hard as we could. And when I was a teenager, my dad was diagnosed with a very rare form of cancer. And by the time I was 18 years old, he had passed away. And this is so emblematic. The thing about this experience is that while it is so impactful, it's actually not uncommon. They worked so hard their entire lives in pursuit of an American dream. And they were well on that way. They were providing a better life for my brother and I than the one that they experienced growing up. But then all of a sudden, you're just one event away from everything being ripped out from under you, from the rug just being totally snatched. And that shouldn't be the way things are in this country. We shouldn't be one accident away from catastrophe, one natural disaster from losing everything. We don't have to do this way. We are all here together because we share in the frustration and the heartache that come watching people in power actively tear down or refuse to fight for everyday working Americans like us. We are here because an extreme concentration of power and corruption is taking over this country like never before. But we are also here because we know that a better world is possible. But to get to there, we need to be honest about where we are right now. We are witnessing an oligarchy in America, most economic, political, and technological power destroy the public good in order to enrich themselves at the price of millions of Americans. And the thing is, our political system is ill-prepared for this kind of abuse power. In fact, much of our political system enables this kind of corruption, starting with the role of money in politics. But I am here to remind you all that we are not powerless in this moment. People are starting to put the pieces together. And ironically, the most divisive forces in this country are actually starting to bring more of us together. And that's important. Because the same billionaires who are taking a wrecking ball to our country derive their power from dividing working people apart. They specialize in getting us to turn on one another along lines of left or right, of race and gender, of status, of creed, of culture, of who you love. They will throw out every label and judgment and cultural debate in the book in order to keep us distracted. Because the last thing they want us to realize is that the actual division in this country is between those at the very, very top and their endless greed, costing the lives of everyone else. And that's why we stand together, Arizona. We can be for this fight. Now, I understand that their disdain for working people by some of the most powerful people in this country doesn't just come from not being raised right, okay? This disdain is shorthand for the right's entire political agenda and a certain ugly kind of politics in this country. And that is lying to and screwing over working and middle-class Americans so that they steal our health care, Social Security, and veterans benefits in order to pay for their tax cuts for the billionaires and bailouts for their crypto friends. And you know what, Arizona? There's a certain kind of word for this kind of thing: corruption. And I understand what it feels like to watch all of this stack up. From how overwhelming and brazen all this selfishness is, the constant headlines and notifications dismantling the Department of Education, trying to end birthright citizenship, the things that make us American. I understand how overwhelming it can feel. And it can make even the best of us want to give in to despair, to feel tired, to feel like there's not much worth fighting for. Because when the system is stacked against you, it's hard to feel like anything you do matters. It's hard to feel like we matter in this democracy. And it is easy to give in to the despair. And I can tell you, I know that when I was waitressing and struggling to put food on the table, for a while there, I did. I tried to stop caring. I tried to just keep my head down, work my shifts, and accept that this is just how things are. But that is no way to live, Arizona. It's no way to live. What I do know is that we don't have to live like this. And in fact, we cannot live like this anymore. Does see the immense pressure that working people are under. But his answer to that pressure is an America that operates on the logic of every man for himself. And I do say every man for himself because he sure doesn't believe in women's rights. But now that Trump is back in power, we see it clear as day. He's handed the keys of this country to Elon Musk and is selling off the United States for parts to the richest people on the planet for a kickback. And in exchange, these billionaires and corporations and lobbying industries will back his campaigns and fund them as well as those of his allies. They scratch his back and he scratches theirs, and the rest of us get left behind. And I'll tell you, the clever thing about what these guys do is that they sell working people like you and me on the idea that we're just one step out of being in that club too. That you're just a little bit away from being one of them. Mindset, right? Except those kinds of spoils that they are rolling in are not earned. They aren't working for those billions of dollars. They're stealing them. They're stealing them from you and you and you and your mom and your grandparents and all of us. Just look at what Elon and Trump are doing to our health care, to our veterans benefits, and to Social Security. They are slashing the programs that we have spent a life lifetime paying for. By the way, not them, because these billionaires have not paid their fair share in taxes in years. So we are paying into this, and they are trying to take it. And mind you, even if you aren't on Medicaid or Medicare, this raises your private health insurance costs too. And let's talk about Medicaid and Medicare for a second. Because just a few weeks ago, every single House Republican voted to cut Medicaid in this country. And so many of them now are, oh, no, we didn't. It didn't say Medicaid in the bill. No. They voted to cut $880 billion from the committee that governs Medicaid. And they voted for it. Now, you see, the thing is, these budgets are not just fights about numbers. We need to understand that. They are fights over our values as a country. Because Medicare, and Social Security were promises that we as a people have made to each other about the kind of country we are and the kind of society we want to live in. And I know about you, Arizona, but I want to live in an America that guarantees health care to every person. That we made. They are not promises from politicians to the people, or they're not charity from billionaires to everyday Americans. They are promises we have made to each other. Neighbor to neighbor, friend to friends, teacher to students, family member to family member. That we want to live in a society that is not depraved, not every person for themselves, but all of us standing together. This is the promise that we make to each other as Americans. And to me, the strength of our country is not only measured by the height of our best days. The strength of our nation is about who is there for you and what happens on your worst day. And that's why I'm here with you today. Because I want to share with you exactly what I mean. Because what you call radical, I believe, is common sense. I believe that in the wealthiest nation in the history of the world, if a person gets sick, they shouldn't go bankrupt. Common sense. I believe that a minimum wage should cover the minimum cost to live. Common sense. And by the way, we should also see that not paying a living wage is actually a form of corporate welfare too. Because these big companies like Walmart and Amazon often rely on food programs and public coffers to cover the wages that they won't pay. I believe that homes are slot machines for investors and big banks to extort working families every last dollar that they have. A home is sacred. And when your landlord doubles your rent overnight or housing prices skyrocket because Wall Street's our housing market like a casino, your government and your public servants should fight to help you keep an affordable roof over your head. I believe that our elected officials should take on abuses of corporate greed everywhere they find it. We must get big money out of politics. That is how we make clear the manifesto. And that we believe these things because we went to some college and read them in a book somewhere. But I can tell you that I don't believe in care, labor, and human dignity because I'm an extremist. I believe these things because I was a waitress. I scrubbed toilets with my mom to afford school. Because I worked double shifts to keep the lights on. Because I did lose a parent to cancer as a kid, and I see my mom open the hospital bills a couple days later. Because on my birthday, I know what it feels to feel left behind. And I don't want any of us to live like this anymore. We deserve better, Arizona. We deserve better than this. And let me tell you something. This isn't just about Republicans either. We need a Democratic Party that fights harder for us too. That means our communities, each and every one of us, choosing and voting for Democrats and elected officials who know how to stand for the working class. I want to give you your flowers for a second, because you all have been working overtime to make that happen. In fact, one thing I love about Arizonans is that you all have shown that if a U.S. Senator isn't fighting hard enough for you, you're not afraid to replace her with one who will. That's how you got two fantastic senators in Mark Kelly and Drew Biden. And that's not all. Last week, when Republicans put up their draconian spending bill on the House, I want you to know that your representative, Yasmin Ansari, who's here tonight, Yasmin Ansari, and Greg Stanton, along with Ruben Gallego and Mark Kelly, they all stood strong and voted no. I said we will not agree to a spending bill that cuts billions from working people. But the thing is, we need more people like them with the courage to brawl for the working class. But you know what? You know which Arizonan did vote to gut Medicaid and jack up healthcare costs? David Schweiker. So folks, you know what that means. We need to come together and spend every day for the next year and a half working to educate other Arizonans and give Schweiker the boot and replace him with a brawling who will stand up for Arizona. Defend your champions, defend your elected officials taking risks to fight for us, and don't stop there. I want you to look at every level of office around and support Democrats who fight, because those are the ones who can actually win against Republicans. But beyond elections, our bigger task is to build community. Block associations, volunteer groups, PTAs, church organizations, causes all around you. This is the connective tissue that can distil fascism. Because community is the most powerful building block we have to defeat authoritarianism and root out corruption. So I'll end where I began. We might all come from different places, but we share a lot of the same experiences. So, your representative. So to all those who came here today, unsure of whether this is where you belong, I want to say to you all that you do. Honestly, no matter who you voted for in the past, no matter if you know all the right words to say, no matter your race, religion, gender identity, or status, no matter even if you disagree with me on a few things, but if you are willing to fight for someone you don't know, you are welcome here. On either side of the aisle who are willing to put their fellow Americans down so that they can get ahead or feel better about themselves, those folks might best find a home elsewhere. Because in this house, we stand together. Because here, we know that together, without exception, is the only way that we can win this fight. It's not about partisan labels or purity tests, but it's about class solidarity. It's about the thousands of you who came out today and together and say our lives deserve dignity and our work deserves respect. No matter who we are or where we come from, we are here to make a sacred promise to each other today, to take care of each other on our worst days, and to share in the successes of our best. So with that, I will introduce to you all a man who has spent his entire life trying to bring us together. You know, I know that one of the things that inspired me to run for office for the first time is that when I saw Senator Sanders on television. And I was wiping tables down and saw the TV on and saying every person in this country deserves health care as a human right. And I know it made me feel almost for the first time that this isn't something that we should earn. This is something that should be afforded to all of us because we are human. Because we are human. And I just want to thank him, and so let's give him the most earth-shaking round of applause. Senator Bernie Sanders.
This is an unbelievable turnout. I think we got many thousands of people outside. And I'm especially delighted to be here tonight with Alexandria. When Alexandria was a little girl, she helped her mom clean homes to make the money the family needed. And she is one of the members of Congress who has not forgotten where she came from. Alexandria and I were in Las Vegas earlier today. Tomorrow we'll be in Colorado, and then we're coming back to Tucson. Because we have a message for Mr. Trump. And that is, we will not allow you to move this country into an oligarchy. We're not going to allow you and your friend, Mr. Musk, and the other billionaires to wreak havoc on the working families of this country. No, you're not going to destroy Social Security. You're not going to destroy Medicaid. You're not going to destroy the Veterans Administration. And I'll tell you what else you're not going to do. We're not going to let you undermine the democracy that men and women in this country have fought and died for. And every single day, Trump and his friends are ignoring the Constitution of the United States of America. You know, when we were kids in elementary school, we read about American history and how this government, our government was formed and the Constitution was written. Like I used to, those guys way back in the 1790s were nobody's fools. They understood that in our Constitution and in our government, you had to have a separation of power so that no one person had it all. And then created an executive branch, a legislative branch, and a judiciary. And every day, Trump is trying to take power away from the Congress. He is trying to take power away from the judiciary. Unbelievably, when a court makes a decision, you can agree with it, you can disagree with it. Most of us thought that Citizens United decision was a horrible decision. Most of us thought that the decision to override Roe v. Wade was a terrible decision. But in our form of government, you don't impeach judges for writing a decision you disagree with. In our form of government, unless you are a coward, you don't sue the media because they report on things you don't like. You don't sue the Des Moines Register because they did a poll whose results you don't like. In the democratic society, we understand that criticism and debate is what makes this country great. And unless you are a coward like Trump is, you welcome that debate and that discussion. But it's not just oligarchy that we are going to fight. It's not just authoritarianism that we're going to fight. We will not accept a society today in which we have massive income and wealth inequalities, where the very rich have never done better, while working families are struggling to put food on the table. And we're not, I know we're in a hockey rink and you got guys playing defense, but they also play offense. And our offense is to remind us all, and every person in this country, we are the wealthiest nation in the history of this world. And that we want and will have an economy and a government that works for all of us, not just for 1%. Now, I want to do something radical. You ready for something radical? I want to discuss some things that you don't hear in Congress and you don't see in the corporate media. In fact, what I want to do is tell the truth. So what don't we talk about in America today? What does Trump avoid, will never mention in a million years? And that is that in America today, Trump and his billionaire friends have never, ever had it so good in the history of this country. In America today, we have more income and wealth inequality than we have ever had. We got three people, Mr. Musk, Mr. Bezos, Mr. Zuckerberg, who combined. You know those guys. Those three people combined, their wealth is greater bottom half of American society, 170 million people. The top 1% now owns more wealth than the bottom 90%. CEOs now make 300 times more than their average worker. That is not what America is supposed to be about, and together we're going to change that. But it's not. That's right, you said it. The greatest country on earth, and we're not going to allow Trump to destroy our great country. But it is not just income inequality. What we are seeing today is more concentration of ownership than we have ever had. While the profits on Wall Street and corporate America saw, a handful of giant corporations dominate sector after sector after sector, whether it's agriculture, transportation, media, financial services. You know what you got? You got a few corporations dominating that sector, making huge profits and charging us outrageous prices for the products we need. Let me give you unbelievable. This is really quite unbelievable. 3 Wall Street firms, BlackRock, Vanguard, and State Street. These 3 firms combined are the major stockholders in 95% of American corporations. That is what power is about. You go out and you think this is a corporation, it's not, it's owned by somebody else. Over the last couple of years, my office has been involved in supporting unions who are on strike around the country. So we got a phone and I say, I want to talk to the CEO because I'm concerned about the way you're treating your workers. And they say, well, the CEO doesn't have any power. Got to talk to the other guy who owns the company. Talk to the other guy. Got to talk to somebody else who owns them. So what you have is massive power, massive concentration of ownership. And let me tell you something about these guys, because I deal with them occasionally. They are not nice guys. If somebody goes out and robs a 9/11, you got 9/11s here? All right. Somebody goes out and robs a local store. Everybody says, you know, that's a criminal. God forbid somebody gets shot. Terrible, put the person in jail and so forth. But you know who the biggest criminals are in this country? They are the CEOs of major corporations who are robbing us every single day. They are the fossil fuel industry that has lied to us for years about what they're doing to the planet. It is the drug companies who charge us the highest prices in the world, and people because they can't afford those drugs. It's the insurance companies who deny claim after claim. Those are major criminals. But these people on top, they are completely removed from American society. Do you think they've ever been in a subway in their life? Do you think they send their kids to public schools? Do you think they worry about the cost of health care and whether they can get to a doctor? Do you think they vacation in a national park? Well, these guys vacation in the islands in which they own. And some of them, just for kicks, will spend a few $1 million riding on a spaceship to outer space. So that is one America. It's an America where the 1% has never had it to. But I want to say something that I fully don't understand, and maybe you can help me on this. Everybody wants to live comfortably. Everybody wants to make money. But what I have never understood is why it is that when you have people who are worth tens of billions of dollars, they have this compulsion, this greed that need more and more and more, and they are prepared to sit on anybody who gets in their way. Can you imagine people like Musk and other multi-billionaires running nutrition programs for hungry children? In what world, in what planet, in what religion is that vaguely moral? So you got one America in which the people on top have enormous wealth and they have enormous power. And I'll tell you something else about power. Power is not just owning a couple of mansions and a jet plane. What power is when election comes is the ability to spend unlimited amounts of money to buy and sell politicians. And I don't care if you're a Republican, Democrat, or Independent. Does anybody think that people like Musk spending $270 million to elect Trump as president and then becoming the most important person in government, does anybody think that has anything with a democratic form of society? But it is not just Musk and it is not just Republicans. Democrats have their billionaire campaign contribution as well. And that is why, in my view, there's probably nothing more important that we can do than overturn this disastrous Citizens United Supreme Court decision. is, if any Republican wants to vote their conscience, and if any Republican in the House or the Senate says, you know, maybe it's not a good idea to give $1 trillion in tax breaks to the 1% and then cut Medicaid and education and nutrition, if that person were to stand up and say, I have a problem with that, you know what Musk would do? Musk in 5 minutes would say, we are going to primary you, your political life is over. That is not democracy. And our fight is to make sure that we remain a democracy. One person, one vote, not billionaires, by the election. So today we have the 1% billionaires doing better than they have ever done before. That's one America. Let me tell you about the other America, but you know as much about that America as I do. And that is that today, in the richest country in the history of the world, 60% of our people are living paycheck to paycheck. You all know what paycheck to paycheck is about? All right, I grew up in a family, Alexandria grew up in a family that lived paycheck to paycheck. And unlike Donald Trump, I know something about that reality. And it is a reality that got me into politics, and it's a reality that I will not forget. So what does living paycheck to paycheck mean? It means that every day, millions of Americans worry about how they're going to pay their rent or their mortgage. Tomorrow, your landlord tells you that he's raising your rent 20, 30%. What the hell are you supposed to do? You got a kid, you can't afford the rent, you got to find another place to live, you got to take your kid out of school. All over this country, rents are soaring. We have not only 800,000 Americans who sleep out on the street, but 20 million Americans, and I suspect many in this room, who are paying 40, 50% of their limited incomes for housing. That's living paycheck to paycheck. Living paycheck to paycheck is being a single mom and having to figure out how you come up with $20,000 a year for child care so that you go to work and support your kids. Living paycheck to paycheck is wanting to buy good quality food for your kids, but going to the grocery store and seeing the prices are sky high. Living check to paycheck is getting sick and wondering whether or not you can afford to go to the doctor, wondering whether or not you can take your kids to the doctor. That's living paycheck to paycheck. Living paycheck to paycheck is not having the money to pay off your credit card debt and month after month paying 20, 30% interest rates on that credit card. All right, you tell me now, what did I miss? What is living paycheck to paycheck about? Say that again. She got paid yesterday, she's got no money today. You paid off the bills. All right, what else? Living paycheck to raise your hand. Yes, ma'am. All right. Afraid that if you protest, you might get arrested and you won't be able to get a job. Yes, sir. What? Right now, paying for education. You know, you might think that in a competitive global economy, we want to make sure that our kids have the best possible education without going deeply into debt. And yet all over the country, we have young people who are wondering whether or not they can go to a trade school to become an electrician or carpenter, whether they can go to college want to become a teacher, but they're worried about coming out of school $50,000, $100,000 debt. Do you know, we are in desperate need of doctors in this country. If you are a working class person, come from a working class family, you go to medical school, you know what kind of debt you end up with? Anyone know? $500,000. $500,000 debt to school, $300,000-$400,000 in debt. That is totally insane. We want people to be doctors and nurses and mental health counselors and teachers. And we don't want to go, we want to have them go into financial servitude in order to do the jobs we desperately need. No, but it is not just working age people who are struggling paycheck to paycheck or struggling economically. It's not widely known, but today again, in the richest country on earth, 22% of senior citizens are trying to survive on $15,000 a year or less. How disgraceful is it? The people who raised us trying to live on $15,000 or less. In this rich country, where Trump and his friends want to give more tax breaks to billionaires, we have the highest rate of childhood poverty of a country on earth. But it's not just income and wealth inequality. It's not just concentration in this society. Today in America, everybody knows that we have a healthcare system that is broken, that is dysfunctional, that is cruel. Not widely known, we don't talk about it. I guess the media and politicians are not particularly proud of it, but some 60,000 Americans die every year because they don't get to a doctor on time, because they can't afford health care. We got 85 million people who are uninsured or underinsured. How many people right here in this arena have high deductibles? What kind of deductibles do you have, them? 5,000. What do you got? One at a time. 7,000 deductible. Other deductibles? Yeah. 12,000? 8,000? 8,000? How much? 6? 5,000? All right. What the story is, you can be insured, and you count as somebody who's insured, but you can't afford to go to the doctor because you got a high deductible. That is insane. It's not just healthcare. I want to raise another issue that is never, ever, or very rarely talked about. As chairman of a committee, we did some work on this, but it's an issue that needs a whole lot of discussion. Many of you may know. Let me take a deep breath. What do we want out of life? Let me ask you a philosophical question. What we want out of life is to live, I think, people can correct me if I'm wrong here, you want to live long lives, right? You want to live a long life? You want to live a happy life? You want to live a productive life? You want to do meaningful work, right? All right, that's what we want. In America today, despite spending twice as much per capita on healthcare as the people of any other nation, our life expectancy, how long we live, is 4 years shorter than other countries, on average. Got that? And why that is, it's a long discussion, can't get into it tonight. But here's what I do want to say. As bad as that is, there is something that is even worse, and we don't ever talk about it. And that is, if you are a working class person in America, you will live, on average, 7 to 8 years shorter lives than the wealthy. You got that? In other words, being working class in America is a death sentence. All right, I've got a question I want to ask you, and I want you to give me your best answer. Why is it that a working class person will die 7 or 8 years earlier than somebody who's rich? Hold on, one at a time. Raise your hand, ma'am. Access to healthcare is one issue. It's not the only one. Yes, sir. Gentleman here said stress. All right, who wants to tell me about stress? All right, raise your hand and be as loud as you can. Yes, sir, right here, be loud. Overwork, and he needs too much overtime to take care of the family. Overwork, yes, sir. Supporting two disabled parents on a teacher's salary. That's stressful. Yes, sir. Where's your body out? Yeah. Afraid that, that's right. That's stress. Worrying about being deported. Okay. Yes, ma'am. Still paying off student loans and can't afford to retire. Ma'am, right here. You hear that? What she said is making a choice between getting the medicine you need to stay alive or feeding your family. Now, if that's not stress, if that's not a decision that no one in America should have to make, I don't know what is. All right, let's go over. Yes, be loud. Right. I think we could probably go on for many hours. But here's the point, and we don't talk about it. I want to back up again. I want to say this. I would say it over and over. I would eventually bore you to death. If we were a poor country, I would come before you and I'd say, I'm sorry that you got to work 50 hours a week. I'm sorry that you really have to do dangerous and dirty work. I'm sorry that you can't afford to send your kid to college. I'm sorry that the elementary school your kid goes to is inadequate, or that you can't afford childcare. But we're a poor country. We just can't afford that. We are not a poor country. There is no excuse in God's earth that people have to make the choice between food and the medicine they need to stay alive. But what we have got to do, you see, this is, what, in the broader sense, what the establishment, what the media, what the politicians want you to believe is A, you are powerless, you can't do anything, they got all the money, they got all the power, and B, that you believe you're just a small number of people. The truth is that the overwhelming majority of people, Democrats, Republicans, Independents, understand that everybody in this country has the right to a comfortable standard of living. Way back, Way back in the 1940s, people like President Roosevelt were talking about economic rights as human rights. So under our Constitution, right, you have freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom of congregation, freedom of all kinds of freedoms. What we have got to establish in this country is that economic rights are human rights. Everybody is entitled to a decent standard of living. Everybody is entitled to health care, to education, to affordable housing. And brothers and sisters, this is not a radical idea. It exists already in other countries. We are the only major country not to guarantee health care to all people. Go to Europe, kids go to college. You know what college costs in Germany? Zero. You know what child care costs in Scandinavia? We can do it. One of the important things when we talk about the list of things that we have to do, making sure that we have a minimum wage in this country that is not a starvation wage, but a livable wage. $17 an hour. Making sure that workers who want to join unions all over this country. We got any union brothers and sisters here? All right. Thank you. Unions help create the middle class in this country, and we thank you. And all over this country, working people want to join unions. And you know what's happening? People like Bezos and Musk and other billionaires are acting illegally against the law, making it impossible or difficult for workers to form a union. That's why we're going to pass legislation that I recently introduced called the PRO Act, punishing companies that act illegally. You know, it's an amazing thing. I mean, it's an embarrassing thing. And it really is quite extraordinary. Every bloody scientist in the world who has studied the climate issue understands that climate change is real. Nothing to be happy about, it's real. And it is caused by carbon emissions and human activity. What is that? We need a doctor? We need... All right, please, we got somebody there? EMT, okay. Let's wait a second. Thank you. What is extraordinarily embarrassing is that while the entire scientific community understands that climate change is real, it is caused by human activity and carbon emissions, we have a president today who believes that climate change is a hoax originating in China. Well, he may think it's a hoax. We think it's an existential threat to the planet. And I want to thank Alexandria, the world legislation, green jobs, which will create millions of good-paying jobs, transforming our energy system away from fossil fuel, energy efficiency, and sustainability. You know, Musk and his friends are busy going to war against working families and federal employees. And I want to say something. Okay. And I want you to think about this for a moment. Take a deep breath and think about this. Right now, they're in the process, they want to lay off 83,000 employees at the Veterans Administration. Unbelievable. I mean, these are the people who put their lives on the line to defend us. And you got Trump and Musk wanting to significantly lower the quality of health care and other benefits that they receive. And they're going after Social Security. Some of you may have heard Trump talking about all of these millions of people, 200 years of age, getting Social Security. It's a lie. I know you will be shocked to hear that he lied. But what their goal is in doing that, in fact, well over 99%, including, according to the Inspector General in Social Security, well over 99% of the benefits going out to people are going to people who earn those benefits. But you know why they are lying about Social Security? They want to destroy, they want to have the American people lose confidence in Social Security, lose confidence that our government can work for them. And what these people really believe, they don't, some of them, people on top, do not believe in the concept of government. You know, back in the 19th century, the ruling class, the kings and the monarchs, propagated the divine rights of kings. You remember that? They were authorized by God to rule. Well, let me tell you something. Some of these guys, these big billionaire technocrats, think they have the right, divine right to rule us as well. So we got some news for them. We ain't going to be ruled by them. We believe in democracy. Let me mention something else. Think about it for a minute. We are in the throes of a major technological revolution through artificial intelligence and robotics. Now, I want you to think about this for a second. If Musk and his friends could summarily get rid of hundreds of thousands of federal employees, and by the way, do it illegally, okay? What do you think they are going to do in the private sector when artificial intelligence comes? What they're going to say, hey, we got a machine, we got a computer that can do your job. Thank you. You're out on the street. And by the way, we cut back on Medicaid, Social Security, and Medicare. So this is an issue we've got to watch. Technology, in my view, can be a very positive development if it is used to benefit ordinary people, not just the CEOs. And one of the pieces of legislation I introduced last year, we'll introduce it again, is I said, you know what, if you have all of this new technology that is making working people more productive, why don't we reduce the work week to 32 hours with no loss of pay? Not a radical idea, but here's the point. You got this powerful technology, robotics, artificial intelligence. They're going to make the economy much more productive. We cannot allow the billionaire class alone to benefit from those changes in technology. So we are going to fight Trump and his oligarchic friends. We're going to take on their effort to move us to an authoritarian society, but we have got to do something else. We have got to ourselves have a vision for the kind of country we want to become. And if we are going, as I mentioned a moment ago, restore a vibrant democracy in this country, we got to get rid of Citizens United and billionaires buying elections. We have got to move to public funding of elections. One person, one vote, not billionaires buying and selling politicians. Trump and his friends want to give $1 trillion in tax breaks to the 1%. We've got a slightly different idea. Maybe they should start paying their fair share of taxes. Musk and Trump want to cut Social Security. We ain't going to let them. In fact, instead of cutting Social Security, we should expand Social Security benefits by lifting the cap on taxable income. Trump and his friends want to cut Medicaid by $880 billion. Millions of kids will lose their health insurance. Community health centers will lose an important part of their funding. If you've got a mom or a dad in a nursing home, understand that 2 out of 3 people in nursing homes are funded by Medicaid. It would be a disaster for the whole health care system. Well, we got a different idea. Instead of cutting Medicaid, we're going to guarantee health care to every man, woman, and child. Instead of allowing Wall Street to buy up homes all over America and raise rents, we got a slightly different idea. We're going to build 4 million units of low-income and affordable housing. Trump may not understand it, but if we're going to make America great, you're going to have the best educated workforce in the world. No teacher, no public school teacher in America should make less than $60,000 a year. There is no rational reason why we cannot have the best educational system, best child care system in the entire world. No reason why every young person cannot be able to go to college or trade school regardless of his or her income. Trump and some of my Republican colleagues talk a lot about freedom. Well, in a free society, we must absolutely guarantee that it is the women of America who control their bodies, not their own. I want to remind you in these difficult times that real change always comes from the bottom on up, not the top on down. It was grassroots activism that helped women have the right to control their own bodies. It was grassroots activism that allowed workers in the early part of the 20th century to form unions. Let's not forget, the bosses at that time denied workers any rights, hired and fired them, worked them any way they wanted. Workers stood up, and some of them got beaten up, some of them got killed. But they stood and they fought and they created the trade union movement. It was Martin Luther King Jr. and grassroots activism that ended segregation in America. It was grassroots activism that created the environmental movement and the gay rights movement. So I say to you tonight, yes, the oligarchs are enormously powerful. That's just the truth. They have an unlimited amount of money. They control our economy. They own much of the media, and they have enormous influence over our political system. But from the bottom of my heart, I am convinced that they can be defeated. If we stand together, this is what demagogues always do. Look, they understand. You go out working class Republicans and you say, hey guys, do you really think we should give tax breaks to billionaires and cut Social Security and Medicaid? They say, well, you're crazy. Of course not. Nobody believes that. Nobody, or very few people, believe that climate change is not real. Very few people think that we should not expand Medicare to cover dental, hearing, and vision. Right? People are in agreement about this issue. So how do these right-wing Republicans succeed? They succeed, that's true. I don't have the time to get it, but we have never seen the big lie. I will not here to tell you that politicians never lie. They do. But not to the level that we have seen from Trump. We're talking about really big, outrageous lies. You know? So, point is that their job, the way they succeed to give tax breaks to the rich, throw people off of health care, try to cut Social Security, is they divide us up. That's how they do. They want you to hate her, and her to hate him, and you to hate that person over there. That's how they do it. That's how demagogues always do it. Got a scapegoat. He said, that's the person who's all the problems you have. You're going to hate that person. And we know better. We know that if we stand together and we don't let them divide us up by the color of our skin, where we were born, our religion, our sexual orientation, if we stand together, we can not only defeat Trumpism, but we can create the kind of great nation we know that we can become. Thank you all very much.
Hello, viewers. Coming up next now on OGM News is Code Blue in America, a 30-minute highlight reel of GOP congressmen and women bravely facing the toughest crowd in an unavoidable town hall confrontations. Please watch as our cartoon animated presenter, Grizzly Barry, hit the curve honeycomb, describing concerns from angry constituents armed with facts, frustration, and just enough caffeine to charge at their political bad actors. Hello.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Code Blue, America in turmoil. Where the past week felt like a blender set to puree with the lid off, the streets are buzzing, protests are popping up like TikTok trends, and somehow Bernie Sanders has gone full final boss mode against the oligarchs, rallying the masses like it's 2016 but with extra caffeine. From Wall Street to Main Street, people are just mad. In fact, a certain car brand is going up in flames, literally. Americans are just angry at the new administration. They're also revolting with the energy of 1,000 union strikes, and deservingly so. Get ready, folks, because if this is any sign, democracy is about to get a whole lot louder. Don't just take my word for it. I brought receipts. First up, we've got a town hall featuring a senator from Iowa, Chuck Grassley. He's got decades of experience in Congress. Now, you'd think after all those years, they'd want to go out with a little dignity, right? Well, let's just say the voters had other plans. Watch and enjoy the secondhand embarrassment unfold.
Isn't the Department of Education the law of the land?
Republican Party, let him talk.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then, just in case you're wondering, will those programs go away with what Trump? The answer is no. And he has said that because they're the law. They are the law. And just as an example.
You can't say law for him and not law for us.
So how is it that then when judges make decisions that all Trump does is say, oh, they should be impeached, you know, and he's making us afraid to stand up for our own rights because we're going to be sent to El Salvador into a high security.
That's right. And we're gonna follow his law?
Judges' rulings should be abided by.
That's not what you said.
Judges' rulings should be abided by. And I read statements in the newspaper that Trump was going to do the same thing, but he was going to appeal. And so
And how much does that cost?
there's a hundred.
How much does that cost us?
And how much will it cost us to bail the farmers out?
Let him answer.
Well, we are.
Be nice to you.
He's had 66 years in office.
There's 120.
We have a right to talk.
Hey, I can say why you do. Let him
Let's keep
answer.
it going.
There's 127 cases filed
He does.
compared to about a dozen with previous questions. So what you learn in 8th grade civics, the checks and balances of the government are going to continue to work. That's the
It's not working.
Who was not appointed by anything with the advice you presented.
You can bring everyone down.
Access to our personal data.
Yeah.
Why didn't you have everybody? Everything that, you know, he hasn't even been vetted for anything. In fact, he's still a citizen of not only the US, but of Canada and South Africa. I mean, why is he the number one person that is just going through and overhauling everything by cutting everything?
And why is Congress allowing that?
There's no taxes.
It seems to me that what you're seeing going on today is what I've heard 2 Democrat presidents say since I've been in the United States Senate.
This is not Republican, Democrat. This is about us, the people.
I'm talking to you.
That's collectively, not just us.
everyone's okay with fraud, but you find fraud by actually looking for it. You don't find it by just saying, okay, I'm gonna cut off your funding. You can't, that's no way of finding fraud.
Right.
I mean, let's
That's
be-
right.
Security fraud done by doctors and nurses who filed fraudulent claims against, Medicaid, right? So why are we going after them? Why are we actually cutting the access to the, money that the people need? Why are you assuming that people who are receiving benefits are in the wrong?
Yeah, that's right.
Again, addressing you. I'll give you an example of $20 million in the Defense Department that since Trump's been president, and I asked him to do away with the Agency of National Assessment, which is supposed to assess annually the needs of our national security. And they haven't been doing it since 2013, but they've been assuming $20 million. They announced that they were going to do away with the Agency of National Assessment within the Department of Defense. I think I ought to go on to other people now.
In the back?
Senator, may I ask a question? Senator?
Yeah, obviously the Senate and the House has the power of oversight of the government, of the president and people in his administration. It seems to me that Trump and his people are moving very rapidly toward a dictatorship and oligarchy. That's a very, very serious matter. Our country is in serious jeopardy, it seems to me, cutting Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, and a whole lot of other programs, even though they deny they're going to do it. And firing people at will and just randomly isn't solving anything.
Right. That's right.
Statistics, you gotta know what those numbers represent.
But my question is, what are you doing regarding oversight? All that concerns, but I've not heard anything from you or any of the Republicans in the Senate or the House for that matter. And, so you have the power of oversight. So the courts are doing their job and doing it really well to rein in Trump and others. But we need to have the Senate and the House also providing oversight. And so it is your job, obviously, which you've been doing for decades. You know it's your job, but we are depending on you and the others to help save democracy.
You speak up.
I will address your question. I think I gave you one example of $20 million in the Department of Defense. I think I've got another thing. I've got an investigative staff on, and we've got 33 investigations going in. So I'd have to have you, I can't give you all 33 of those investigations.
Give us one.
But well, one of them would be the waste in the EPA as an example.
What you just said, 20 million.
Democracy, the waste in the EPA. I mean, what are you going to do and what are you doing? Democracy, this is.
That's right.
Next is the video that takes us to a Republican town hall in Spokane where voters had a very Canadian moment, raising the maple leaf flag and calling for Trump's impeachment. Now, despite what the president claimed, these folks aren't undercover lefties on a payroll. Nope, they're from deep red Republican districts, real, passionate conservatives who are absolutely furious. And honestly, they've got every reason to be.
I've been in Spokane for 39 years from New Jersey. I've never been involved in politics before.
but this is getting really scary. Okay, so the things that frighten me is the way this insane president talks about Canada as a 51st state. Yeah. Taking Panama by force and buying Greenland. How does this person qualify as sane? Why is he not being impeached right now?
Up next, we've got House Republican Harriet Hagerman. You know, the one who replaced Liz Cheney from Wyoming? She is getting a good old-fashioned Wyoming welcome. A chorus of boos, and why? Because she decided to defend Elon Musk. Turns out, even in cowboy country, there's a limit to how much billionaire fan clubbing folks will tolerate.
The opportunity to do town halls, because it lets me come here, give you an update on what I'm doing back in Washington, D.C., and then I'm going to give you an opportunity to ask me questions. Before we get there, however, I get it that there are people here who dislike me, but there are also people here who want to hear what I have to say. And if you have so little respect for our process and for what we are in this country, then I would ask you to leave. It's so bizarre to me how obsessed you are with federal government. But here's the thing. You guys are going to have a heart attack if you don't calm down. I'm sorry. Your hysteria is just really over the top.
Now, this next one has a ring to it. Republican rep. Rich McCormick just found himself in the political version of a talent show gone wrong, getting loudly booed at a town hall when he struggled to answer whether Donald Trump was inching toward tyranny. Spoiler alert, the crowd had strong opinions. And let's just say they weren't handing out participation trophies.
Will be lost forever and tyranny will rise. I believe you know the rest of his speech. Something about give me liberty. It's clear from all the writings of our founding fathers that our great republic was never meant to be ruled by a dictator nor a king. My shock and pure horror when I woke up to find that our president had given himself unprecedented executive powers and then within a few days named himself king to his followers. Yeah. Tyranny. Do you have a question for the Congress? I do. Thank you. Tyranny is rising in the White House, and a man has declared himself our king. So I would like to know, rather, the people would like to know what you, congressmen, and your fellow congressmen are going to do to rein in the megalomaniac in the White House.
I'm not going to give you my best foghorn leghorn response, but when I was sit down, thank you. When you talk about tyranny, talk about presidential power, I remember having the same discussion with Republicans when Biden was elected. faces who are yelling just as loud as you. So yelling at me is not going to get any answer.
You are expensive to the people.
Hey, let's get through this. I've seen Game of Thrones too, thank you. Let's go ahead and move on because if you stop yelling, I will answer, otherwise we'll move on. If you would stop talking, I will answer your question. So if you listen to what we project, this goes both parties. This is a bipartisan problem. The REINS Act, which reins in executive power for both parties, whoever's in party power, and I think it can be tweaked actually to be much better. I don't think executive privilege should be as strong as it is. I think we're out of bounds right now. I think your representation, whether you like me or not, I'm the closest thing you have to represent. Your senator's not going to be as representative as me, and the president's not going to be as representative as me, but you, the people in this district. Likewise, I think state government needs to be more powerful than federal government. It used to be that federal funds only made up 1/3 of the money spent, and states was 2/3. It's more representative of your money and your money spent. That's better. Always push government down to the local level because you'll get better representation.
What are you doing
I don't
about
want
the
to see
king?
the president make all the decisions.
The king! What about the king? What about the king?
Do you not want to hear that I just said? I answered directly. I said I don't want to see any president be too powerful.
Right now,
I just told you we have an act that can be passed by bipartisan resolution. The problem is we couldn't pass it when Joe Biden was in.
Because he didn't want to be king.
Then why didn't he pass it?
Who was yours?
Biden wouldn't pass it, and the Senate, the democratically controlled Senate would not touch it because they wanted Biden to have executive privilege that was too big too. And this is the problem. This is a bipartisan, guys. I'm the one saying let's work together, and you're the one screaming at me. Okay?
Biden didn't centrally.
Let's be fair. I'm telling you how you solve this, and you're saying no, we don't want to hear it.
We want to work with someone better.
In this next one, it looks like the people of America have finally figured out where their shoe is pinching. And boy, are they making some noise about it. At a town hall in Deep Red, Nebraska, the crowd erupted into chants of tax the rich at Republican Representative Mike Flood. And just when you thought it couldn't get spicier, Flood set the room on fire, metaphorically, of course, by declaring his love for Elon Musk. Let's just say the crowd wasn't exactly electrified, unless you count the boos that could probably power a Tesla factory.
Okay, let's talk about this. So your proposal to solve this is to tax the rich.
Well, looks things have gotten a little spicy over at Senator Tom Tillis' office. A leaked audio recording has surfaced, featuring a delightful medley of extremely unhappy voicemails from some rather fired-up callers. Let's just say the MAGA camp is experiencing a bit of a meltdown now. Before we hit play, let me go ahead and issue a preemptive apology for the tone and for the words that have been aggressively beeped out.
Good afternoon, Senator Tillis.
That's how northern warbands think about you southern white trash. That's what the ones who won the Civil War think about you. Do you understand that inferior bad genes, inbred stupid you and all your people?
Yeah, Tom Tillis, afraid of death threats. Then get the out of office.
I would like to talk to Tom Tillis and ask him why he thinks it's okay for him to take money from this nation and it over. Why does he think that he can tell his employers to go themselves every goddamn day, all day long, and sell his goddamn house
employer's over. Don't he know that his employer can take a f***ing axe handle and cave his f***ing head in?
And I suggest, well, you're going to have to be very careful about going out in public talking to anybody that's real, that's an actual American, because we hate you.
If I didn't have a broken back in Southern California, I would spend the rest of my life in federal prison for a chance to cut your throat.
Good afternoon, Senator. Tell us.
That's how Northerners think about you Southern white trash. That's what the ones who won the Civil War think about you. Do you understand that inferior bad genes, inbred stupid you and all your people? Yeah, Tom Tillis, afraid of death threats. Then get the out of office.
Well, that's a wrap for me on Code Blue. If you must know, MAGAs will keep living in their cozy little echo chambers until their wallets start feeling like they've been through a paper shredder. Their personal lives turn into a bad reality show, or their benefits vanishing. Strangely enough, the heat is cranking up, and those echo chambers are starting to smoke like an overcooked Thanksgiving turkey. And shockingly, the black folks who have historically been front and center in every civil rights movement, the same ones that even white America has cashed in on. Well, these black folks are sitting this one out. This time, they're kicking back with their snacks, watching the chaos unfold like, oh no, y'all got this. We'll just be over here, enjoying the show.
We'll go to the microphone.
All right, here's our next question.
In 1987, Ronald Reagan stated that tariffs don't work, they only hurt the economy. By your inaction, you are showing that you support Trump's tariffs on our allies like Canada, as well as Trump wanting to annex Canada as our 51st state, so invading a sovereign nation that was our ally. Our stock market keeps dropping, hurting our economy, prices keep rising, which hurts your constituents that are not rich, which is the majority of us. My grandfather fought in South Pacific during World War II, fighting for human rights and against fascism, and Hitler, who Trump admires and thinks did good things. So the UN ambassador for US last month voted with Russia, North Korea, and other dictator countries that Russia didn't invade Ukraine and did nothing wrong. This is where we're at. When are you going to stand up? And we're also on the human rights watch list. When are you going to stand up for it?
Let's talk about tariffs. In 2000, U.S. trade totaled $2.0 trillion, more than 4 times China's $474 billion. From 2000 to 2024, U.S. trade expanded by 167%, while China's trade surged by 1,200%, surpassing the U.S. in 2012. By 2024, total trade reached $5.3 trillion for the U.S. and $6.2 trillion for China. What did COVID teach us? 2024, COVID taught us that if we aren't a nation that makes things, if we aren't a nation that builds things, if we aren't a nation that controls our own destiny by celebrating and growing manufacturing, we are losing to China. President Trump is interested in fair trade. As we saw during his first term, President Trump successfully used tariffs to rewrite. The only way this is going to work, folks, is if I get the opportunity to answer the question. What message are you sending to these Columbus High School students? I don't think your high school civics teacher would endorse that behavior.
They wouldn't endorse yours either, so
Okay.
Mussolino, Sweet Ray, alongside Castro. Now we are doing it. Taika, are you ready?
Hello, where the party at? 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 This is my show. This beat na super flow, energetic motion roll. Make sure you hear the flow. Okay, ni waju adajo oru, ni waju adajo oruke, ni waju adajo oru, ni waju adajo ke ya bossa go ke wa mujo. Mafinu mio o moje, okay ya shani joa. Ele tiele, kilo dem don't shake slow. Politicians one bad ojo, one yagbadale, one get down low. Shake roboto, one dig it slow. I want guys, one shenukolo, one fosoge, one shen roboto, one bank kamu, one renu foro. Loju ago, one natabi owo. Listen to my music on the go and dance to my beat whenever I flow. Wherever you are, just take it slow. Oruke, niwaju adajo, oru, niwaju adajo, oruke, niwaju adajo, oru, niwaju adajo. Ke ya bossa go, ke wa mujo. Mafinu mio, bo moje. Okay, ya shani joa. Ele tiele. Hello, where the party at? 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 Odoju agbo lo demo, lo shako, kin sheje mo, kin sheje o. You dey think say you dey above the law? Stop the demo, make it hit the floor. I'm on the spot to shake the club. This is Lagos, as I be my level. Everybody know that we are no rebel. But if you try to ruin my schedule, I go treat you like you don't get the logo.
Come na the dance floor, come na the dance floor. All the girls who look, come na the dance floor. This kind of music, they make good they color. Bartender body, I pass with the shayo. Come na the dance floor, come na the dance floor. All the girls who look, come na the dance floor. This kind of music, they make good they color. Bartender for pass with the shayo. Boom! You know who we be. Shoot their glass, so we drive them girls crazy. Mr. DJ, this one on the right track. Look them girls, they wind the bumper. Back it up, hey. Back it up. Do the limbo, don't you whine, hey. Don't be like, we not the best. They not the dance floor, they not the dance floor. All them girls, they not the dance floor. We don't make them girls, them all long go colo. Bartender body, a bastard, shayo.
Okay, niwaju adajo, oru, niwaju adajo, oruke, niwaju adajo, oru, niwaju adajo. Ke ya bossa go, ke wa mujo. Mafinu mio, bo moje. Okay, ya shani joa. Ele tiele. Hello, where the party at? 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 Party, jolly. Ori mi àti lumi. Sheki ako wa mujo. To rambe nile lote iyo. Enough for le fisi. Shine for mode o. Money gba fún wọn lote iyo. America to Canada to Europe to Niger. One city at a time. We surely taking over. Intercontinental music differential. Obeda ko surrender. Oruke, niwaju adajo, oru, niwaju adajo, oruke, niwaju adajo, oru, niwaju adajo. Ke ya bossa go, ke wa mujo. Mafinu mio, bo moje. Okay, ya shani joa. Ele tiele. Hello, where the party at? 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 Oya party ti tẹ wa ma lọ le o.
Following the coverage of recent GOP town halls, we now turn to the next segment, highlighting the work of Senator Bernie Sanders and Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. As part of their Fighting Oligarchy tour, they have been traveling across the country, holding rallies to address the growing influence of billionaires in American politics and advocating for policies that prioritize working people over corporate interests. Stay tuned as we present some of the video from their recent events, showcasing their commitment to building a fairer and more equitable society.
My name is Alexandria. Some of you may know me as AOC. And I want to thank each and every one of you for taking the effort to be here today. Traveled and made arrangements and carpooled, and I want to thank you for taking that time and thank you for making that effort. Thank you. I think we're all here together because we share the frustration and heartache that comes from watching those in power. In fact, we're all here together because we share in the frustration and heartache that comes from watching those in power actively tear down or refuse to fight for working Americans like us. We're here together because an extreme concentration of power and corruption is taking over this country like never before. And we are here, most importantly, because we know that a better world is possible. We need to be honest about where we are. We are witnessing an oligarchy in America. The most economic, political, and technological power destroy the public good to enrich themselves while millions of Americans pay the price. And our political system is ill-prepared for this kind of abuse of power. In fact, much of our political system enables it, starting with the role of money in politics. But I'm here to remind you today, Denver, that we are not powerless in this moment. People are starting to put the pieces together. And ironically, some of the most divisive forces in our country are actually bringing more of us together than ever before. And that's important. Because the same billionaires who are taking a wrecking ball to our country derive their power from dividing working people apart. They specialize in getting us to turn against one another along lines of left and right, race and gender, creed and culture. And it's all to keep us distracted, because the last thing they want is for us to realize that the real division and the real harm in this country is how endless greed is costing the lives of everyone else. Abolishing the Department of Education, kids with disabilities are able to get special education. Things like this, multi and disdain is a shorthand